Episode number 7 of Coastin with Piv and Finer. I'm Evan Pivnik. David Fine. I don't know which frame is going to put me in on side, so I'm not going to use the hands today. But as you can see below us, we have a very special guest for this episode. He is the voice of the Seattle Kraken, coming next season to the NHL, a former ECHL broadcaster with the Cincinnati Cyclones, Everett Fitzhugh. Everett, finally, you're coasting with Piv and Finer. How's it going, man?
About time, fellas. It's good to talk to you guys and good to see you guys again, man. It's I miss not going to the rinks and being able to hang out and chit chat with you guys. So thanks for having me on. But I think more importantly, it's really good just to see your handsome faces once again.
Well, thank you so much. And, we miss it too, being able to go to the rink and chit chat. So you're not the only one that's opted out, so to speak, of the 2019, 2020 or 2020-21 season.
Yeah.
Fitzy, it's so great to catch up. The first thing I always like to ask a man of your stature, of course, is what have you done today? How are you so graciously preparing for the season?
Lots of meetings. We had a couple of meetings today. We had I did a TV appearance for a local station here in Seattle, so I was down at our preview center getting that done. And that's a lot of my job is a lot more content, a lot of video stuff, a lot of audio stuff. I've started doing some more written features as well. So, people have always said, are you as busy as you were in Cincinnati? And I think the answer is yes, but it's a different type of busy, right? I mean, you guys know in our position was the press releases, there was social media, there was broadcasting, there was team travel, there was sales for a lot of guys. So while I'm focusing on just that one aspect of my job, it's still a lot of things and a lot of materials in that box. So it's been fun. It's been hectic. It's been busy, but it's, I feel like this phrase gets overused, but I'm living the dream, honestly. I can't think of anything negative to say. And I mean, yeah, I'm busy, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Sit up a little bit. You're not getting your logo in there. I know that was a big contingency to getting this interview. I know one of the things that you said. I got a brand
new podcast mic too, so I'm making sure that the microphone works fine. Yeah,
because when I was texting you about coming on, which I had to go through your people, it was a whole thing to get you on this podcast. And, it was a 3-week process. It wasn't just a text I sent the other day to you, but you said, hey,
no, not at all.
If Everett's going to be on Coastin or whatever they call, that's what they said, whatever it is, he has to make sure he represents the Kraken brand, which I'm very happy that you're doing. So I'm just trying to do our part and make sure you're presenting that beautiful S, which is really cool looking, by the way. I remember when they presented it, a lot of people were kind of, bashing the Kraken name a little bit, but once those jerseys came out, I think everyone kind of turned around and said, wow, this is really cool. It's really different. It's something out of the ordinary. And I think not only just the hockey fans in general, but the city of Seattle has really got on board with the team as well.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that I noticed when I moved out here is the fact that this team has not had, this city, I should say, has not had an NHL team since World War I, right? And the fact that this town is all of a sudden a hockey town. People are so excited. People care. People are genuinely thrilled about not only hockey coming to Seattle, but also a winter pro sport coming back to the city. And another thing that people don't realize is that there is such a really rich Nordic tradition here. And the Kraken, obviously based in Nordic mythology, it really fits this city well. It really fits the area and the region well. The mystery of what is the Kraken. Everyone knows Liam Neeson. Everyone knows, the Pirates of the Caribbean and all of that. But what is the Kraken? You never really see the Kraken. And I think that's part of what makes the logo and the name so sexy, I guess, is that it's mysterious, and it's something that, it's something that a lot of people are still trying to wrap their heads around. The jerseys look really cool. What's the mascot going to look like? What are the in-arena graphics going to look like? A lot of those things we can play with as an organization. We're not necessarily tied to one image, and I think that's a lot of fun and a lot of, it's really good to have that kind of flexibility.
I know you've done videos on, social media with the Kraken, and the production's starting to get going, but it's different now because not like you can go into the office and see. In the ECHL would be a very small front office, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So what's that been like for you, getting to know your coworkers when you're not really around them in person, and kind of, getting to know them maybe by going and having a drink after work type of thing instead?
Yeah, there's been a lot of Zoom meetings. There's been, we've had a couple of company Zoom happy hours in which you get to meet people in different departments and things like that. So the organization has done a really nice job of fostering, trying to build those relationships internally. Our CEO, Todd Lewicki, holds a weekly open door virtually where any and everybody involved in the organization can hop on a Zoom call. And, Todd gets to know us a little bit more, and we'll spitball some ideas. Right now, our biggest thing is talking about how we're going to make the expansion draft and the coverage of that expansion draft, the best thing that the NHL and Seattle has ever seen. So a lot of those things that are going into what we're doing as an organization, and then just some kind of, hey, how's it going? We just hired some scouts. One's based in Russia. Alex has joined every single one of these meetings at 3 a.m. local time. So Todd's always like, Alex, what time is it over there? He's like, 3:30 in the morning. And he's like, go to sleep. He's like, I'm finishing up some notes, and then I'll get a couple of hours. And my man's up at 4 o'clock in the morning joining Todd's open door, which is awesome. So, I think it's that kind of thing that the organization, helps us put into place and helps us kind of foster those relationships and things like that. So it's been difficult. Before COVID, I've heard all of the stories of people who, they used to go to happy hours, or they used to get together and things like that. We did a little socially distant picnic once. There's about 12 of us that showed up, and that was kind of cool. And it was good to meet people and see folks in person, but we're making do with what we got.
Now, you're an anomaly. I can't pronounce this word right now. You're an anomaly when it comes to broadcasters right now, especially when it comes to guys in the ECHL, because it's not every day that an ECHL broadcaster gets the immediate call up to the NHL. I mean, it's not that common that a player gets the call up right from the ECHL to the NHL. So are you still waiting kind of for like someone to be like, haha, you're being pranked, go back to the ECHL sort of a thing? Or is it really set in the fact that now you're an NHL broadcaster?
I still have a ton. I'm like really close. Sorry about that. We're going to get some raw behind the scenes stuff here today. I'm still having a lot of those pinch me moments. And I think you're bang on, Piv. There have been times when I'm waiting to wake up and I'm back on the bus pulling into Wheeling for the umpteenth time. Like, I'm waiting for that to happen. And it's just been so cool to be a part of this organization and to go on this journey and just to see how different, but also how similar a lot of things are in the NHL compared to the ECHL. And you talked there earlier about not being many people that have made the jump. I can only think of two, and they're both from the old Alaska Aces, and Jack Michaels, who is now in Edmonton, and Josh Bogorod, who was down in Dallas. And even Josh Bogorod went into a studio hosting position before he jumped on the mic as play-by-play. So it doesn't happen that often. And yeah, I mean, I'm very, very grateful, and I understand that, this has been a crazy year for a lot of people, and that's not lost on me that I'm luckier than most. And I'm trying to go every day and do everything that I do with this organization with all of the gratitude and appreciation that I can put out there. And you're absolutely right. It's just such an amazing experience to be a part of this. And I'm still in shock that I'm living here in Seattle. And, I'm helping start an NHL team from the ground up. It's unbelievable.
I got one more name for you there from, I believe it was the CHL at the time, Bowling Green guy, Steve Mears. He made the jump when he was
Steve
with Shreveport.
Mears from the boys of Shreveport. Yeah, the Mudbugs.
The Mudbugs. And then he went up to the NHL to call the Islanders on the radio, and then NHL Network from there. Spent a long time at the NHL Network, and then is now the play-by-play voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins, which is awesome for him back in his hometown, calling his, his home team. One of the things, as broadcasters, which I think a lot of people don't really understand until you kind of are covering a team or working for a team. And I think this goes for anyone, whether the NHL, the AHL, or the ECHL. You know, you have your childhood team growing up, and for you, it was the Red Wings growing up in Detroit, and also you had ties, or you rooted again for the Edmonton Oilers. So you kind of had two teams. See, I do my research. I know things about you. You don't have to be impressed. Don't worry about that.
Straight off Wikipedia.
But yeah, we'll get to Wikipedia in a second. I got to talk to you about Wikipedia. I don't know if you know what's coming. But so you grow up and that's what gets you into hockey, right? This hometown team that you grow up loving. And then you get a job working in sports. You get a job working in hockey, and you kind of lose that fandom a little bit. And your fandom has to kind of move a little bit to, you know, now you being you're a Kraken fan. Although you said, you know, you grew up a Red Wings fan, you grew up an Oilers fan. I mean, I just want to, not so much of a question, just kind of like a discussion about it, because that's something I've always kind of heard. And as a kid, when you're diehard and you're up to hear about your fandom and your team, and then all of a sudden it's not like you don't have that anymore. You know, when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who works in this position as broadcasters, PR knows the old rule, right? No cheering in the press box, and that was one of the early lessons I learned at Bowling Green. And Evan, a name that's probably very familiar to you, Kevin Gordon, who used to be the beat writer for the Bowling Green Falcons for the Sentinel Tribune. Gordo, 1 year, yeah. So my first year's play-by-play, Bowling Green was going through their transitional phase, and I think we started 0-10. We were like 0-10-1, 0-10-2. None of those losses were particularly close. It was a bad year. We get our first win against Alaska Fairbanks in November. I think it was January. Yeah, we were 0-10. So late December, January, we get our first win against Fairbanks. And I remember in the press box, I was just so happy because, I mean, obviously, I go to Bowling Green. I'm a Bowling Green fan. This is my team that I cover. And it wasn't like I wasn't doing backflips and like, yeah, but I was like, all right, good job, B. I was clapping and I was cheering on my BG Falcons. And Gordo pulls me aside and in his own Gordo way, if I ever see you doing that again, I'm gonna write to the administration. There's no place for that here. And at the time, I was like, buddy, we just won our first game in 2.5 months. Like, this is exciting. And then he really calmed me down and he talked to me, and you're a professional now. This is your job. You don't get to be a fan. You don't get to be a student. And I took that to heart because this is I love the phrase dress for the job that you want, right? You're always going to be in a position where people are going to be depending on you to deliver the news, deliver the whatever the case may be, and they want to know that they can trust you and that you're not going to be the homer, that you're not going to be that irrational fan who they just happen to give a microphone to. So, going back to the sports fandom part of it, that's the one part about the job that we do that I'm very much like, man, it's kind of unfortunate. You don't really get to be a fan anymore. I'm not trying to name drop or clout drop or anything like that, but I've been very, very fortunate to have met a lot of people, famous people in hockey, in sports, and then I meet them and it's just like, oh, hey, what's going on, dude? How you doing? Like that fandom's taken away because to me, they're just Bill. They're just Steve. They're just a guy that I've met, that I've known for a while. So, I think you're right. In this position, it takes something away from you, but it's also a very unique opportunity for you to be able to put that fandom aside and to, even though my favorite team was the Oilers growing up, the first time I met Jack Michaels, I remember I had a little bit of that fandom in me. And I was like, oh, Mr. Michaels, great to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, hey, Everett, nice to meet you, man. Here's my card. Let me know what I can do for you. And inside, I'm like, that's kind of
look at I got.
But yeah, like you're getting so excited. But over the past, that was almost 10 years ago when I met Jack for the first time. And over the 10 years now, we've corresponded every now and then. We've run into each other every now and then. And he was one of the very first people to congratulate me when I got the job here in Seattle. And I wasn't talking to Mr. Michaels. I was talking to Jack. You know what I mean? So you learn over time to put those feelings of fandom aside if you want to advance your career in the way that you want to.
You mentioned there's a number of people that are cool that have reached out to you.
Yeah.
The athletic story, I'm going to go back to the athletic story. I think it was from the day.
Okay.
And Ryan's article is so good about how the process, how it actually happened. But you mentioned that Todd Lewicki, in the story, you mentioned that Todd Lewicki shot you an email, and you couldn't believe that you were receiving an email, and you thought it may have been spam. How many minutes did it take you to realize that this was a real thing? How many days did it take you to realize that this was a real thing?
Man, that whole experience was crazy because you never expect that an NHL CEO is going to email you. And I mean, you're bang on, because I thought it was our sales guys who I'm close with, or our staff, playing it. It was a very generic email address. And I was like, all right, guys, that's not even clever. Whatever, fine, thanks. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, do I even respond to this? There's no way this is real. And I'm telling myself, I'm like, all right, well, on the 0.0001% chance this is real, let me respond to it and see what happens. I was texting my fiance. I was texting my mom. A couple folks in the office. I was like, hey, come here. I got something to show you. Is that real? Should I respond to that? So it was a lot of back and forth. And I think maybe the next day I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I responded to him. He got back to me right away. And I was like, oh, all right. So that 0.0001% chance, I should have went the other way. And he reached out. I reached back out to him, and he said, we loved reading the article, and he wanted to know more about me and things like that. And was very much interested in getting to know my story and that kind of thing. So that was really cool to get. But yeah, that initial, you dream of that email, and you plan for that call ever since you decide that this is what you want to do for a living. And then when that call comes, you're like, no way. That's too good to be true. So that's how that whole conversation in the email chain went.
And you made him wait an entire day before you responded. I mean, that should have cost you your job right there. Just waiting, they give you the opportunity that to respond, and you're like, that's not. Throw your phone out the window. You're not responding to that guy. He probably wants money online. It's a scam. Classic. Yeah. I get NHL CEOs emailing me every day asking for money.
And the off chance that it was not real, it probably would have been really bad, because you may have had your credit card numbers. You had to log out of everything, change every password quick if it wasn't real. So,
hey, Everett, I'm starting the NHL in Seattle. What's your social security number?
You have the job if you give me your social.
Yeah, exactly. But also too, how many times have people gotten emails that in that same fashion, and they delete them or whatever, and I'm not. I want to back up a bit, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm not appreciative, and it wasn't an honor. Obviously, it was, but it's just that initial shock of seeing Todd Lewicki in the email signature, of seeing NHL Seattle, we're starting something great here. We want you to be a part of it. The Kraken job is something that people have been applying for and talking about and sending resumes in since they broke ground. I mean, I probably sent 3 or 4 emails to the info at whatever email address, just like everyone else.
NHL Seattle. The generic one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I probably sent, like I said, 2 or 3, 4 emails to that email address. I know folks in the ECHL. I know every AHL guy did. I know NHL guys did. So it's not like I was, I was special in that regard, but it's the fact that, the CEO took time to reach out to me and to say, I read your story. I want to learn more about you. You don't see that a lot in this industry. You don't find a lot of good people like that who want to make that personal connection. And Todd is one of those people who he wants to make that personal connection. So having gotten to know him now, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Todd will email someone and say, hey, I read a great article about you. You don't know me, but I want to know you. And that's just the kind of person that he is. But having not known that in late February, early March, I was like, all right, this is way too good to be true. Are we serious here? So yeah, that's again, that whole experience was just unbelievable. And I mean, if Todd, if you're watching, I apologize for making you wait. I'll never make you wait again. I'm pretty quick on my phone, my email. So
Hey, you got that
I'll
fancy
get back
iPhone
to you
now.
within 5 minutes. Oh yeah,
You're an iPhone user now.
no more. What's that? The blue bubble, the green bubble struggle? What do they call it?
Yeah, I used to text you, and then sometimes you wouldn't respond, and now you definitely don't respond because you're an NHL guy. But when I texted you, it would be green. It would be disappointing. But now, the first time I texted you was over the summer, and I saw that it turned blue, and I thought first instinct you changed your number. That was my first instinct. You change your number, someone else has it. I'm texting someone else my social security number to your phone, and someone else got it. That was my first instinct. And then you texted me back. I was like, wow, an iPhone. That's fancy. So that's what the NHL guys have. So that's what I have to strive.
And I've gotten the same reaction. I've gotten that same reaction from so many people. Like, I'll text someone, and it's not like, hey, what's going on? I'll ask them a question like, hey, whatever. First thing they say, oh, an iPhone. All right. What were you wanting to know? Sorry about that. It's like that people are just so shocked. I don't
even know what I was calling you for.
Team Android. Exactly. Yeah. I've been Team Android since my Motorola Razr back in the 8th grade. So, the fact that I'm now on an Apple device is all right.
Hey, you're fancy. You have the Mac, you have the phone. I don't know what other gadgets you have, but I'm sure you're collecting them now that you have one Apple product and then a second Apple product. Yeah, that's how it goes. Apple is we're working to get Apple as a sponsor here on Coastin.
Everett has Apple Music too, and
he does.
I do have Apple Music. Yes.
I like it. So I signed up for the 3 free months. It's probably almost 3 months now. And the day I signed up, it's follow people you know. And like on Spotify, you would follow your friends. People don't do that on Apple Music. So I think Everett and I started a trend because I'm pretty sure I hit follow. I'm like, should I may have unfollowed there for a second, then I hit refollow. Like, I definitely more than. And I texted Everett. I was like, I see you're on Apple Music. Like, I don't know whether I really verbalize. Like, do people follow each other on this service? But we're following each other on Apple Music too. So welcome to the Apple family, and I'm glad to see you were the person I know that was followable on Apple Music. So that's good too.
Well, thank you very much. It feels good to be a part of the Apple community. I want to thank Team Android for their wonderful years of service, but it's time to go into a different direction. And I think moving into 2021, as we move forward as a nation, I think I need to catch up with the trends. And Apple is where I see that trend going. And
Wow, no wonder you're an NHL broadcaster. My God. That was tremendous.
That's it. That's it right there.
Fitzy, so when you're in the Coast or the USHL, there's a little bit less pressure if you make a mistake. You made a mistake on Mixler in Cincinnati or in Youngstown. In the NHL, it's not quite that way. And you're not thinking in the back of your head. It's just like a player. You're not thinking in the back of your head, if I, don't make this crisp pass, then we lose, or whatever the case might be. But has that aspect dawned on you in your first few, whether it's the videos you've done, some of the live streams about that type of pressure of being in the NHL versus being in the Coast?
I think it definitely has, and that's just human nature. Because I've always done and put 100% of myself into whatever I've done. So I've always tried to broadcast an ECHL game or USHL game or a Bowling Green game like I was in the NHL, dressed for the job that you want. That said, there is a lot of added pressure being in the NHL. The fan bases are bigger, taking nothing away from the Cyclones, who have great support, but I mean, you've got an expansion NHL team, and all the eyes are on Seattle, and you've got a whole town now rooting for you and wanting to see you do well as an organization. So there is a lot of added pressure in terms of getting things right. And the first couple of things that I've done, I was really nervous. We did the draft show coverage. We did a Thanksgiving event, a cooking show that I'd never done ever before. We've done a handful of other video features that we've done. And I think in the back of my mind, I'm very cognizant of the fact that I made the jump from the ECHL to the NHL. That doesn't happen. And I know full well that there are people who say that I don't belong here. I didn't earn my keep. You don't skip the American League and things like that. That's fine. I've heard that before, and that's okay. But I will say that there is a little bit of added pressure in that regard, I think, to prove that, no, this organization made the right choice by hiring me and by bringing me into the fold here. So there is a little bit of added pressure in that regard. As far as the videos and the work goes, it's just fun. And you put all of your personality and you put yourself into what you do. It's just a lot of fun. And not that I didn't have that kind of leeway other places, but just here, when my only job here in Seattle is broadcasting and is content. I've done some writing for the website and things like that. But, when you're in the ECHL, when you're in other leagues, when you're in the minors and the juniors, you're doing PR, you're doing social, you're doing marketing, you're doing travel, you're doing sales, you're doing a whole host of other stuff that you don't have time to really focus on that one piece that you want to focus on. Well, here, I've got the opportunity to focus on the one piece that I've been prepping and training and preparing my whole career for. So it's a lot of fun to be able to say that, yeah, I get to go to work today and I get to make a video. I get to do a cheesy video. I get to do sightseeing with Fitz, where I'm walking around Polsbo and going on boats and exploring the town and the culture in the area. A lot of things that, because of time, because of other responsibilities, you may not have a chance to do at those lower levels. So the pressure is definitely on. You want to do a good job, but the pressure's been on for the last 12 years, 13 years, ever since I did my first broadcast at Bowling Green. But it's a different type of pressure. And now that you're in this position, that I'm in this position, I think that pressure's magnified a bit. But it's always there. You are your hardest critic. So I'm still very hard on myself. I'm still always trying to find ways to improve. Everyone, though, has been very supportive and great and kind and all of that. So I'm very thankful for that part.
Isn't it kind of amazing, though? You for aspiring broadcasters, they grow up when they're kids, they mute the TV, they do play-by-play doing video games. They're, going to NHL games and doing it in the corner. And then you get a job broadcasting hockey, but the broadcasting hockey aspect of the job is about that much. It's crazy. You realize it, and then it makes you want it that much more to get to a level where you're at right now, where your job is creating video content and broadcasting games. You look at it now. I'm sure when you came into Seattle guns a-blazing, you're like, okay, give me everything to do because I'm so used to doing all these things. And then you're like, no, we'll tell you what to do, and just take it easy.
You know what, man? That was the biggest thing that I had to overcome, and I had to really come to grips with, is that I'm no longer the PR guy. I'm no longer the guy that gets to know things, which is fine. Again, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not upset about that fact, but you're 100% correct. I came in guns hot. I was like, yeah, I've got PR experience and social experience, and whatever you guys need, let me know. It's like, we got 2 PR people. We got 4 marketing people. We're good, man. We hired you to do this job. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's the NHL. Okay, I get it. So
you guys have more than one.
But yeah, that first month. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That first month, it took a little bit to get used to, but the organization has been very, very gracious. And like I said, they've allowed me to kind of get some experience in other areas. Like I said, I've written a few stories for the website and things like that. So I'm still being able to put some of those other skills that I've used and that I've learned to work. But yeah, my job is broadcasting. My job is on camera work. My job is content. And that's something that we all dream about getting there. That's the ultimate goal for everybody who has been to the minors and everyone says you toil in the minors and you ride the buses. And I watched your guys' piece with Brendan Burke and just hearing him talk about his journey and coming from the ECHL to the AHL. And, when he made it to the NHL and things like that, you always enjoy hearing those stories because no matter what level you're at, we've all been there. Unless, you're kind of an older guy who maybe has been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. Most broadcasters who have been hired since 95 2000 definitely have spent time in the minors. They've unloaded buses. They've worked till 2:00 in the morning on press releases when the wireless has gone out. And, they've had to have the bus pull over at a rest stop so they could send things out using Wi-Fi. Like we've all been there before. And I think that's something that you never take for granted. And when you do find yourself in a position to do what you want to do and focus on that solely, I think it makes it that much better and that much sweeter.
I think of when I was in Tri-City for my first of 2 years, that sometimes there's some really hard lessons, or just not necessarily hard, but important defining moments where you kind of something clicks. And for me, I remember we needed to send in a player had a questionable hit from the opposing team the night before. Being in Tri-City, I'm the video guy and and helping marketing and helping in media and helping in obviously the broadcasting and all the additional things. And so we needed the video, and we were getting on the bus, and I remember cutting up the video, and it was maybe like 15 or 20 minutes later than I could have done because I was getting ready for this and this and this. I remember getting on the bus, and I believe it was our head coach Bill said, "Hey, this isn't good enough. Like I needed it 15 minutes ago, pretty much. Like if I ask it for you, right now, like I need it right now, not 15 minutes ago." And it was really not that too much later, but he wanted to make sure that he could do his due diligence on it before the bus started moving, which I probably failed to realize. That was a moment that kind of clicked with me about putting the organization first at all times. And I was a young 22-year-old kid at the time. Do you have any of those moments from, you mentioned the Bowling Green one, but anything additional from when you were out of college in particular, Youngstown or Cincinnati or even the USHL League office where you worked?
I think the USHL League office is where I gained my appreciation for the industry. When I came out of Bowling Green, I was in the running for the Bakersfield Condors job. And it was down to me, Ryan Holt, who's there right now, and then another guy. And I got an email, or I made it to the final interview stages, and it was great. And I was 22, 23. They were in the Coast back then, and I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. And the last two BG broadcasters, Bob Mills and Denny Neves, had all gone off to pro hockey. And I'm like, all right, 3 for 3, let's go, let's do it. I was feeling a little cocky. I was 23, it's fine. So I ended up not getting the job. And he told me, the guy that interviewed me, he said, you know what, your tape sounded good, and it was a tough decision, but, we wanted somebody who could do the PR side of it. And I used to think that you just show up to the game, get off the bus, broadcast, and go home, right? That was, I didn't know about the PR side. I didn't know about everything else. So when I was in the USHL League office, that's when I really found that appreciation for the other part of the job. And that's when broadcasting went from 80-20 to now 20-80 everything else. So doing press releases and video highlights and social media and marketing and event management, that's all the things that I learned. And that was kind of my first real moment of like, okay, so there's a lot more to this industry that I didn't even know. Fast forward to Youngstown. That's when I got my first experience really dealing with national media, because Kyle Connor was going to be drafted that year. Youngstown ended up having 5 or 6 players drafted in that draft, Connor going the highest, and the team won the Anderson Cup. So, I'm trying to get press releases on the Phantoms, who have won 17 games in a row, which is still a Tier 1 junior record. Oh, and by the way, Bob McKenzie wants to talk to Kyle Connor. And oh, by the way, Sportsnet wants to do a feature on Ryan Lomberg. And oh, by the way, so there's a whole lot of things that go on. I remember I got the job in Cincinnati, and we went to Vegas for the league meetings right after I started. And on draft day, I'm getting calls and emails from media contacts like, hey, Everett, like we're trying to find so-and-so, looking for you. Can you help us? I'm like, hey guys, I'm not there anymore. I'm in Cincinnati. So like, I'm actually in Vegas, like during ECHL league meetings, still doing Youngstown Phantoms PR work and like putting people in touch. So, that was Youngstown. And then I think in Cincinnati, I learned how to be a professional. And I know a lot of players say that, like, you learn how to be a pro. I learned how to do this at a high level, and I learned how to carry yourself a little bit better. A lot of things personally, internally that I worked on, professionally also that I worked on. My first like 3 games in Cincinnati were atrocious. I remember them like they were yesterday. We were at home, and we played Fort Wayne on Friday, and we went to Kazoo on Saturday. And I'm sorry, I went to Wheeling on Saturday, and I kept calling the Nailers the Kalamazoo Wings. Like, it happened all game. And I had Kalamazoo in the back of my mind, and I was like, man, this is not going to cut it. Like, you have to be better. I have to be better if I want to do this. So there's a lot of little things that kind of, those light bulbs that go off that help you improve and help you get better.
You mentioned the Vegas league meetings for the ECHL, and that's one of the topics I wanted to get to a little bit later, but I'll bring it up now since you made the perfect segue. Since you're now on the West Coast, and, you know, just throwing it out there, you're now on the West Coast, so it's not terribly far from you. If you were to perhaps maybe, you know, mosey on down to Las Vegas for the next league meetings, whenever they may be, back when, you know, when this pandemic's all over, could we get an Everett Fitzhugh sighting possibly at the next Vegas league meetings?
No comment.
No comment. I'm gonna get a text from you. I'm gonna ask you. So it's gonna be set up, and the meetings are gonna happen. Yep. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna text you. You're not gonna respond, and then you're gonna text me at 9:15 in the morning when you get there on like a Wednesday. Hey, I'm at the bar.
Yeah, New York Center Bar.
Right, I'm at the New York bar.
Center Bar, New York now. 9:30 a.m. Oh my goodness. See, the thing that
what's going to actually happen is I'm going to show up for day one and I'm just going to take a seat and see how long it takes for people to notice that I'm there. I'm just going to walk into the conference room and just sit there. You know, Babbitt's going to be up there giving a speech, and, you know, Creelan's going to be giving some words, and I'm just going to be sitting there. I'm not going to say a word. And people are going to look at me like, I thought you were gone. No, I guess not. All right. I thought I read that. Whatever.
I'm just watching.
I'm just going to show up and
laughing.
Our keynote speaker has arrived. He'll be the brand new keynote speaker. The other guy's got to.
I'm here for the teamwork job fair. I'm trying to move up in my career. So
that's where you're going to be spending your time now. That random teamwork online career fairs. You're going to work your way around. You're like, oh no, I don't need a job. I just want to see what it's like. Because I didn't get to go to that second process to go to the AHL.
Well, you'll be on the tour group that walks around with Joe as well. The little teamwork online tour.
Yeah.
He looked at, man. I'll just say it. He saw me. It feels like it was this past summer 2019. Looked right at me and said, "You look like crap. What happened?" And that was the day that I decided to go hiking in the desert for 3.5 hours by myself.
I remember that.
And I remember it was like 11 o'clock, and I was getting back because I left at 7 a.m. And you guys were like, what are you doing? Like,
was that on the Wednesday? That was the icebreaker day.
The icebreaker day.
We went to
I was a little bit late because everybody thinks that I was like misbehaving or something.
Oh yeah, you went missing. I forgot about that.
But well, all right,
you're missing. No one hit all of you.
No one could. I slept through, and I don't nap. Like, I'm up at 6:30, 7 o'clock every day. Like, I could go to bed at 5 a.m. today. I'll be up tonight. I'd be up 2 hours later. I really would be. I really can't sleep past 7 a.m. But that day with, you know, the desert hiking and sitting outside, I just passed out. And I was supposed to, someone was supposed to wake me up. He shall go unnamed. He still is worth the Reading Royals organization. I said, if for some reason I sleep through my alarm, like, please just come back. Like, I have my alarm set. Like, I have 2 alarms set, and the individual never came back. So, again, that person shall go unnamed. Anyway, I was a little bit late that day.
Because that was like the talk. That was the talk around the meeting. I was like, where's Viner?
Yeah.
Is he missing?
Well,
day one in Vegas. He's gone.
Our GM was somewhat new at that point too, so I was wholly embarrassed that I look like some degenerate that just is off, off somewhere at the MGM or something like that.
He's on the roof at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm napping because I went hiking for 3.5 hours in the desert heat when it was already like 95 degrees. I drank 120 ounces of water. I had 4 water bottles, each like the huge ones like I didn't even have to use the restroom because you just sweat it all out. It was exhilarating. I'll do it again in a second. That's the other thing is I would do it again in a second.
When you didn't show up the next day, the first thing that popped into my mind was the episode of Entourage. It was the episode of Entourage where they go to Joshua Tree to find themselves on a spiritual awakening. And this is a very PG-13 crowd. I don't know who's going to watch this, so I'm going to choose my words carefully. Yeah. And when Drama and Ari and E get separated from the group and they're walking around the desert, and like that was the first thing, like, where in the heck is Finer? And I'm like, we're going to have to rent a car and drive out to Joshua Tree and pick this kid up. Like, what is going on here? That was the first thing that popped into my mind.
Well, the other thing is I was supposed to have a number of people joining me. I believe I invited every broadcaster. Someone said, yeah, text me in the morning. I definitely invited every Royal staff member, a little Uber XL, split the cost, travel in luxury out to Red Rocks National Park. And, at 7 a.m. rolled around, and I'm up and buzzing, and nobody wanted to join me. So that's,
Yeah, I didn't go because Fitzy texted me that I'm at the bar at 9:30 in the morning.
Probably.
That was like 2-3 years ago. I'd actually gone to Vegas that weekend or the week prior with a friend of mine, with a couple of my buddies.
You're there for a week and a half.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had spent 8 days in Vegas total. So by the time that rolled around, I was already on day.
No, this is the year
Thursday,
after that.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Oh, okay, that was the year. Okay, never mind.
It was the year after that because I didn't go to
the year after that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't go to league meetings after my first year. I went after my second.
That was a normal Vegas year.
Yeah, you got in.
Don't ever spend 8 days in Vegas.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I gotta admit, I gotta assume that's a mistake for you, on all accounts. Yeah, a huge mistake.
Yeah, it was a fun guys weekend, and I was like, what? I'm already going to be out there for league meetings. I might as well just stay. I checked into my hotel early, and then by Wednesday, so the start of league meetings, I was like, get me the heck out of this city. I can't. I'm ready to go home.
It's not a desert mirage. It's the New York Center bar.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, that's a great.
Mark Benetti.
Yeah,
that's a great. I'll tell your Mark Benetti story because all we do is talk about Mark Benetti on this. I want to hear.
I was going to say, I just remember Mark Benetti got to Vegas early, and he texted me, hey, you want to meet up? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, no big deal. So we meet up at the New York pool, and we're sitting and chit chatting, and I'm pretty sure I fell asleep like outside on the pool deck because I was just so tired of Vegas already. And I had 4 days left, and I thought
I was having a boring conversation with you because I do believe I was sitting adjacent to you at that point, right when you started to doze off.
You were there, yes, yes, you were as well. Okay,
Also contributed to the afternoon nap about 2 hours later in some regard. Piv, transition time, because I know where you're going with this. It's not a desert mirage. Bring it up.
It's not a desert mirage, is the famous quote from John Walton after the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup. John Walton is a great connection for you. He was the guy who let you call your first NHL game, and that had to be kind of a little an out of the blue experience because I remember we were at alumni weekend at Bowling Green, and we were sitting at B-Dubs before noon. I'm not going to say how much before noon it was. But we were at B-Dubs before noon. And you said, hey,
that's all you need to know.
You want to hear something?
All you need to know before noon.
You're like, hey, you want to hear something cool? I was like, what? You're like, I'm going to call an NHL game. And I'm like, okay, cool. And that's like, I'm like, okay, like you left me like wanting more with the story. And you're like, yeah, John Walton reached out to me. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, but the way you said it was like the funny, hey, you want to hear something cool? I'm going to call a preseason NHL game. It was hilarious. But, And then it was like a couple weeks after, I think it was kind of public that you were doing it. But thank you for giving me the first scoop on it. I didn't go anywhere with it, but you were able to do that, and it's got to be strange for you too, because going into not only like an NHL game where you're not completely, 100% on the rosters, you have to still do your research when it comes to that, but a preseason game, a lot of times where there are guys who for sure aren't going to be on the NHL squad, and guys you probably have to do a little more research on because they're probably not fully, the biography is not really in the full game notes. How'd you go about getting ready for that, and how nervous were you when, you're stepping up to the plate? Basically, it's your first game of the year too, because it's so early before the ECHL season started.
Yeah, that was probably top 3 most terrifying experiences of my life going into that game, just because, it's your first NHL broadcast. And, people have said, oh, well, it was only No. It was not just preseason. You're still in an NHL building, calling Nick Backstrom's name, calling, you know what I mean? There's still the NHL-ness that goes around it. And, the preparation for that game was actually hard, because that was the year that Boston and DC took half their team over to China for the China game, the Chinese series that they did. So I was preparing for 80 players. Like the camp, each team had 40 some odd players in camp that year. So I was doing bios and studying and remembering names for like 80 people. And I'm nervously texting John Walton like, hey, man, I know I got a few more days, but, can you help me chop this list down? And I was like, oh, yeah, no big deal. I'll get you something as soon as I can. So I'm getting on the plane the day before the game. And he's like, here you go. This is the roster for tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, thank God. Like Ovechkin wasn't playing. He was overseas. Chara was overseas. Some of the big names were overseas. But for the most part, the guys that I kind of focused in on were the ones that I already had down pat. But the research still, that's one of those parts that it's the same. You still go into each game and prepare for it. You're learning names and rosters and bios, and you're writing down notes. And once I got there and once I stepped into the press box, my heart was jumping out of my chest. My stomach was in my throat. I met, a lot of really cool people that were working for your organization, and everybody was very welcoming and gracious, and I thought it was really cool to be a part of. And then once you go on the air, John Walton gave me about a 1.5-minute long intro, like, welcome Capitals fans, the first game since the Capitals raised the Stanley Cup, and, preseason's underway, and this, that, and the other, and I'm happy to bring on Everett Fitzhugh. Everett, take it away. Thanks, John. Like you kind of.
I don't know what voice this is.
Yeah, it's like Everett, take it away. Yeah. So thanks. It was a little more smooth than that, but once you get into it, you're back in the ECHL broadcasting, play-by-play. And the one thing that I learned about that experience is that it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm not saying it was easy at all. Obviously it was a very difficult thing to do, but when you're broadcasting an NHL game, you're looking at the best players in the world. Whereas in the ECHL, things can get a bit sloppy. USHL, college, things can get a bit sloppy. But the NHL, they're making those perfect passes. That you can anticipate where it's going to be because they've been doing this for their entire lives. So the ease in which the game is so much faster, but it almost slows down from a broadcasting perspective because it is so perfect and it is so picture clean and crisp. And, it took me about a period and a half to learn the names and get those names down pat, which, John was like, no, you're doing good, but just, get those names down, remember those names. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I did have to work on that as the game went on, but it was definitely an eye-opening experience. And it's something that I left that game feeling confident, not cocky at all, but I left that game saying to myself, like, okay, I can do this. I'm closer to the NHL than I thought I was. I didn't expect to be there 2 years later, but I went into that. I left that game feeling that, all right, this was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I can do this. I can do this for a career, and the NHL is not far off.
And we would neglect to mention John also worked for the Cincinnati Cyclones. Mighty Ducks, Cyclones. Did I mess it up? Was he a Mighty Ducks era guy, or am I completely
No,
on that?
He was the Ducks guy, and then John Weideman was the Cyclones guy.
So I caught myself, but yes, Cincinnati.
John W.
John Dubs. John W. Yes.
Johnny Dubs.
And another fun fact about John Walton is that he was the PA announcer for the Cincinnati Reds, and he actually in his office has the PA microphone from Riverfront Stadium. He was going through cleaning stuff out when it was about to be demolished, and he was walking by his office, and he was like, "Oh, that microphone's still on the wall. I might want to hold on to that." So we went, pulled it out, and the PA mic is in Mr. Walton's possession. Oh yeah,
those are fun facts.
Didn't Brendan Burke? He had something that he showed us as well in the podcast that he grabbed before. Am I making this up? I feel like he said it right at the end.
He had so many things. I was admiring his wall.
Yeah, me too.
Because he had a lot of cool stuff. He had the panoramic photo of Peoria, I believe.
Yeah.
Behind him.
That
He
was
had the He had the that was in The Office, I believe.
Yeah.
And he took that. He had the AHL Broadcaster of the Year award. No big deal. Behind him on display. And he said the ECHL's Broadcaster of the Year award was too dangerous with all the kids running around his house.
Which is like the most. Oh yes, I was going to say.
Yeah,
I have my ECHL PR Director of the Year award. It came apart, but I still have that.
What was that on the floor? Did you reach?
No, it was on my shelf.
Oh, okay, I thought you reached down on the floor to get that.
No, yeah, I got a little shelving unit right here, and we were talking about awards, and I was like,
show it off.
Yeah.
I think it's Wikipedia time.
It is Wikipedia time. Everett, I'm not sure if you know.
Oh, Lord.
You might. You have a Wikipedia page.
Did he create it himself?
It was. I did not create that. It was through the Twitter sphere, and then my mom actually called me the other day, last week I think, and was like, "Everett, did you know that you have a Wikipedia page?" I was like, "Yeah, someone told me." I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, Mom, people don't like brag about their Wikipedia. That's a really cocky move.
Yeah.
So the game we're going to play here, we're going to play fact or fiction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read every line from your Wikipedia page, and you're going to tell me if it's true or if it's false. I read through it before. Some of it's a little inaccurate. Okay?
Okay. Oh, goodness.
Let's do like elementary school. We can kind of bounce sentences. Is that okay if we bounce some sentences here, or is that too much?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Well, you can do that. So Everett Fitzhugh, which I call you Fitzy. I don't know what your official, if you want to declare a nickname for yourself. Would you say Fitz would be the one?
I'm more of a Fitzy guy. Fitz is what they call me here in Seattle. I respond to both. I respond to Everett, but Fitz or Fitzy, those are my two preferred nicknames.
Okay. American sportscaster. Correct. Play-by-play announcer for the Seattle Kraken of the National Hockey League. That is sentence one.
All facts.
And also born 1989, but no birthday.
Okay.
So we're all
good. You want to disclose your
what's your
birth? It just says born 1989.
Oh, but yeah, the birthday, yes, 1989. I was born on January 6th, 1989. I just turned 32 years old 2 weeks ago.
Okay. It doesn't list your birthday, it just lists your birth year. So I wanted to make sure that's out there. Fine.
Okay.
Fitzhugh, upon his hiring by the Kraken, so good. These people have good grammar. The Wikipediaites. Fitzhugh, upon his hiring by the Kraken, became the first full-time African-American broadcaster in NHL history and is the only black play-by-play announcer at any professional level of North American ice hockey. That's the sentence.
As far as I know, that is true.
Okay. This is a short sentence. I'll give this one to you. He is a native of Detroit.
Hyperlinked to Michigan and not another Detroit in another part of the
country.
True. I knew that one. I'm going to take the next one because I got a very short sentence there. I felt like
yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay. In addition to his duties as a Kraken broadcaster, Fitzhugh is also appearing at public speaking engagements and in promotional videos for the Kraken, which we talked about before, and I think that we can confirm that is true. Yep. Now,
Yes, it is.
David, it's your turn.
Todd Leiweke, the Kraken CEO, personally reached out to Fitzhugh. That's a very short sentence, but it is a fact.
Yeah. Keep going.
It's a fact. It was unbeknownst to me at the time. Yes, he did reach out to me. True. That is true.
I thought it was a longer sentence. Leiweke received, quote, a glowing recommendation, end quote, for Fitzhugh from retired NBC NHL announcer Mike Emmerich. Fact?
That's what they tell me. I do not know the context of that meeting. I do not know the contents of that meeting, but more than one person has told me that Dr. Michael Emmerich, did provide a glowing recommendation of myself to Todd.
Terrific. Now we get on to a little more personal stuff about Everett Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh attended Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Everett. Bowling Green University, not Bowling Green State.
So I did attend Pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
I did attend Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor. I did not attend Bowling Green University. I don't know where that lie came from. I attended the Bowling Green State University.
Blanket.
Blanket.
A little fleece. I like that.
So I attended the Bowling Green State University.
Was that the trophy that just fell over, by the way?
Don't worry about what that was.
It definitely was the award that just fell over. He has been a play-by-play.
Don't worry about what that was. Continue.
That was the trophy breaking again, or the award breaking again. He has been a play-by-play announcer for the ECHL Cincinnati Cyclones and the Youngstown Phantoms of the United States Hockey League, and a color commentator for the Bowling Green Falcons.
That is true.
There's a lie in that, though.
There's a lie in that. So I wasn't just the color commentator at Bowling Green. I was the play-by-play announcer at Bowling Green as well. Technically, it is the truth because my first 3 years in Bowling Green Radio Sports Organization, BGRSO, I was a color analyst and a part-time high school hockey play-by-play announcer, but I was also the play-by-play announcer for Bowling Green for 3 seasons.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure
so I'll give that one a half true.
Half true. Fitzhugh has also served as the Cyclones Director of Media Relations and was on the crew for the 2018 ECHL All-Star Game on NHL Network.
That is true.
That is true. And I'll take this. You want me to take this last sentence finally?
I would love for you to. I'm getting ready to read some of these hyperlinked cool references because he has 4 of them now. I think he only had 3 before this interview started. I refreshed the page. I think he added a new one.
Hyperlinks. Nice.
I hope this episode becomes a reference on Wikipedia. If they edit something, I'd be so happy. In 2018, he announced
he did play-by-play and color commentary for Bowling Green once the episode.
And they link the FloHockey TV.
FloHockey.
Yeah. In 2018, he announced play-by-play for a Washington Capitals preseason game against the Boston Bruins. That's true. We know that.
That is true.
And that's all your Wikipedia has to offer, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the less on your Wikipedia page, the better.
Good start.
There's no scandals that
I agree.
click any down or anything like that, which is good.
Have you ever heard of the game on Wikipedia to play? I'll just say it. It's called 5 clicks to Jesus. Like you have to get to the Jesus page, or 5 clicks to Catholicism, where you have to use the hyperlinks.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I may actually play as soon as this interview is over to see if it.
Yeah, you could use any topic, and you could be like, okay, start at Everett Fitzhugh's page and get me to just name any other thing on Wikipedia, and be like, how long?
I don't know.
Yeah, hot dogs. How long will it take you to get from Everett Fitzhugh on Wikipedia to hot dogs? And people are timing. I saw it online on TikTok. People have been doing that.
Is that it's a TikTok? I'm not into it anymore. I knew about it way before TikTok.
Yeah, I used to do it in college for fun. I was just like, I'm just procrastinating on something. So I was like, I wonder how quick I get to hot dogs. And next thing I knew, it was 5 a.m. I was like, I got to go to bed.
I gotta go.
I gotta go to bed. I can't be Wikipedia hot dogs at 5 a.m.
Shelly's playing in the background right now, actually, as we speak. She's trying to see how quick she can get to something. I think Detroit might actually be the best angle to take on this, because you can go Detroit straight to the demographics and the demographics, socioeconomics, and it normally has like what percent of what religion. And if you were taking like the Jesus angle, let's say, then you could get very quickly. So I might only need 2 clicks. Be very proud of them. All right.
Yeah. Well, Fitzy, we took up about an hour of your precious NHL broadcaster time. Before we let you go, I want to give you the floor. Let us know what you have coming up. Let us know what the Kraken have coming up, and just tell us how great we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to answer your first question first, I want to wrap up on just how great you guys are. First question first, we have so much coming up in terms of our content, in terms of marketing, and the next big event obviously is going to be the expansion draft. But before that, we're hoping to hire a head coach. We're hoping to make a broadcast partner announcement sometime soon, whether that's later this month or next month or whatever the case may be. So a lot of things that you don't really think about, but they're coming fast. It's coming fast, and we've got the training center that's on its way to being done. The monorail, that's going to be a huge part of our business and helping our fans get to games, is coming online. Obviously, Climate Pledge Arena, who's going to be the first event in Climate Pledge Arena, so a lot of those things we're frantically trying to figure out. But, we pride ourselves on being a community-based and a community-focused team. And we want to make sure that our community is included and they feel like they are a part of the Seattle Kraken. And whatever we do, we want to make sure that we have them in mind first. So a lot of community stuff coming up, a lot of more of me and my smiling face coming up as well. Selfishly looking forward to that. So yeah, a lot coming up. I can't divulge too much because A, that's trade secrets, and B, I just don't know. But no, a lot's coming up, and we're really excited for when those jerseys drop, when the head coach is announced, when the draft happens, all the things that fans want to know. We all want to know as a staff too. So we're going to be hanging with bated breath for that as well. And then to wrap things up here. So I'm going to get serious for a second, because I think you two in particular, out of all of my colleagues in the ECHL and folks that I know and no longer colleagues or my friends, I think you two, what you've managed to do given your situations and given the fact that COVID has taken away hockey and, teams aren't playing, and using your guys' platform to churn out that content and to keep this going and to keep fans interested. I mean, like, hats off to you guys. I mean, this is I've watched most of the episodes or clips of most of the episodos you guys have done, and I love it. And I think I've watched most. 7. That's most.
Most.
Yeah. All I need is one more than 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, you guys have done a phenomenal job, and I applaud you for taking this, using your talent, using your stage and your platforms to promote this. And, we're very active in our broadcasters thread, and what you guys have been able to do has been awesome. And I want to let you and everyone else out there know that, hopefully this ends soon and you guys are back behind the mic calling games. Hopefully it's in the American League. Hopefully it's in the NHL. I just hope you guys are back on the mic, because you two are insanely talented, and this was a lot of fun to be a part of. I am honored, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak with you guys. And, the gold standard was Brendan Burke. I know I did not quite get there, but one of these days, if you have me on again, I will try to see if I can get to that Brendan Burke gold standard. So hopefully I'll have a sandwich named after me at some point. My wife can go into a deli and get a sandwich named after me. That would be great. Or a cup of coffee. Like, I would love, so my wife loves coffee, and I would love to have like a latte or a mocha or something named after me. So maybe I can get her to
you
do
want a
that.
sandwich named after you. You want a sandwich. You don't want a cup of coffee. You want
I want a sandwich, of course. I want a sandwich.
Don't settle for a cup of coffee. What would be the Fitzy sandwich? What would be the Fitzy?
I mean,
if I'm going into a place.
Good Lord.
Because you knew this question was coming.
The Fitzy sandwich, I did. I did it, but I did.
Yeah.
So the Fitzy would, let me grab my scroll here. No. So the Fitzy would be some type of like sourdough or rye bread. Got to have some Swiss cheese on there. All right. I love Swiss cheese. So a layer of Swiss cheese. I like warm sandwiches. So I'm going to go with chicken bacon on that sandwich. I want some caramelized onions on there. I want some sun-dried tomatoes on there. And then I want a nice spicy type of mustard. And not like a deli mustard, but like a sriracha mustard or like a chipotle aioli kind of thing. And then on top of that, I want a little bit of I want fancy cheese, like a piece of Gouda or some
double cheesing it,
cheese or something like that.
Wow.
Double cheesing it. Yep.
Okay.
And then top it off.
Wow.
Wow. That's
quite an order.
Sandwich.
That could not be something you just order straight up.
Yeah.
That's something that actually needs to be a menu item that you could just say, like, I'll take it.
Well, and like Mrs. Burke, I've actually gone to various sandwich shops and I'm like, hey, this isn't on your menu, but can I do this, 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 and this? And the guy was like, that actually sounds pretty good. I'm like, all right, yeah, for sure. So maybe someone has put it on the menu and they just didn't give me credit for it, but I don't know. So yeah, that'll be my sandwich.
You got to start working that in now, especially now that you're the face of the Seattle Kraken. You could walk in any sandwich shop in Seattle and say, hey, this is what's going on here. I'll give you 2 free tickets to the home opener. Not guaranteed they'll work, but I can give you copies of 2 tickets to the home opener. You put a sandwich on that menu, and it's going to be named after Everett Fitzhugh.
Yes.
Yeah. Everett,
yes.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate this. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for still kicking it with the boys, even though now you're quickly 2 steps ahead of all of us. Your camaraderie. We'll miss you around the parts of the ECHL. Good luck with everything. Stay safe. Have fun. And we'll get you on another episode of Coastin when we have nothing else to – if we have a light week with nothing really going on. Oh, where can we kill an hour? Everett Fitzhugh. Guaranteed. For sure. It was a lot of fun, though.
That's fine with me. Again, you never forget where you come from. And you guys, I always will value your friendship and – I'm not gonna big wheel you here. I'm not gonna Bobby big wheel you here. I'm still the same person I was, 6 months ago in the ECHL than I am now. So
keep telling yourself that, Everett. Episode 7 is complete. Coastin with Piv and Finer. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next week here on FloHockey TV.